Yeah, it's great to be here, and I know there are some members which may not have been able to come here, and but I see that it is actually recorded, so that's great. I'm sure they'll be shared later. I will be slightly ad hoc, so bear with me on this one. But where shall I start? Basically, my title is Transformational Coach, and you can find me on LinkedIn. I can share actually a document with my contact details, and I don't know if I can post them somewhere. Well, probably I can post them on the group, but I'm sure John can help me on that, or Marie. But I'll tell you a little bit about my background. I have been in corporate HR for like the last 20 plus years, and that was totally by accident. Within that, I also discovered spiritual teaching as well, and it was pranic healing for me, which was at the very beginning of pranic healing as it was then, and that was about 15 years ago. And that was quite an interesting journey, and I learned a lot from that, and it's very similar to Reiki. Some of you may know of it. And I also discovered NLP, Master Practitioner, was the title which I now have, because I became fascinated by neurolinguistic programming and the science of language. And I used that in my HR career excessively. And I had people alongside, clients alongside, as well as those within the business. So that is the corporate side of it, and it was an amalgamation of things that I picked up along the way as well, and I enjoyed it. It was working with different businesses, a lot of variety there. And then about 5 years ago, I came out of that. I was made redundant, and so after being the one who actually processed redundancies, I was actually at the other end of it, so that was very interesting for me. And so it was full circle, and quite an experience. And so then I decided, what did I really love? I decided it was really, I loved the connection with people. I wanted to help people, support them, and I loved the one-to-one coaching specifically. So I decided to explore that. So in doing that, I actually expanded my qualifications and studied positive psychology. I've also got a background with autism. There is autism in the family, but before even finding that out, autism came to my door, and I discovered people like Rupert Isaacson and The Horse Boy, which some of you may know, and I would highly recommend you read that book. He's quite a fascinating man who actually suddenly realized that he and his wife had a child who was totally, what they could see was uncontrollable, and nobody could give them a solution or even as to why he behaved this way. And he went on this amazing discovery through using horses. Actually, horses came to his aid, so I do recommend that. It's amazing. And so I effectively, so with autism, I actually incorporated that into my coaching as well. And I took a diploma which extended my learnings on that. And then I decided, and this is the really interesting thing, is that about every 20 years I do something radical. And forgive me, Marie, but I'm not actually watching the clock. So if you can just give me a nod and a wink if I'm running out of time. So every 20 years, when I was 20, I decided money came to me, which is another story. So I went to New Zealand for 6 months out of the blue. I was invited to be a bridesmaid of this girl I work with in London. She's going back home. I thought, okay, fine, I'll go there. 20 years later, and that was really interesting, came back, and it was like, okay, I'll just do it. I don't know where I'm going. I'm not going to have anywhere to live when I come back. And it all just flowed. And that's what I love about, and I'm sure a lot of you have the synergy about things flowing. When things are right, they flow. Then 20 years later, I've been working in London doing the corporate HR, and I got fed up with it. I didn't like the energy. I felt I was hemmed in, and I needed to go to the country. I needed more space around me. So then I left London and I went to Somerset, and everybody thought I was crazy. You don't have a job, you don't know anyone there apart from one girl, and you don't have anywhere to live. Again, everything flowed. Then recently, another 20 years comes by, and I've decided I'm going to sell my cottage. I'm going to be totally self-sustained. I want to reduce my outgoings. I want to be in control of everything that I can. So minimalizing things, and to actually be able to focus on me and what I can give others, and not worry about paying the utilities, maintenance of a house, all the rent, mortgage, all the other things that go with it. So I thought, right, that's it. Totally radical, selling the cottage. And I was going to buy, and I did, I commissioned a tiny house. I don't know if you're familiar with tiny houses, but they are amazing. I fell in love with them. And this one was built up in Northumberland. So I was in Somerset, it was up in Northumberland. So it all happened. So this was about a year ago. So it took about a few months for it to come together. I then had to find somewhere for it to go. And I have to tell you also, I tried to sell my cottage 3 times prior to this, and it wouldn't go, it wouldn't go. And it meant that I was having to learn something. I had a teaching. So what was it? And one time it was forgiveness. It was incredible, because I had to give away my animals because I had awful neighbours who were going to persecute them. And I realised, okay, I'm stuck. I can't sell the house, which I tried to do. I was not going anywhere. The universe was saying, nah, you're not going anywhere. But when I decided I was going to sell, I was going to buy a tiny house, I was going to go off grid, totally sustainable, and I was going to find land, it was all going to happen, then that's when my house sold very quickly. And I used somebody who was totally away from the high street estate agents. It flowed very quickly. And I thought, yeah, this is it, it's working, it's happening. Then I had to find land, and I have to tell you, I've had this dream of this place for many years. And when I came down to Somerset, I was even looking at castles. I thought, I really had this feeling, this intuitiveness, that we need to be communities. We need to be together, and different age groups and like-minded people, and you could have a big estate and you could actually work together to maintain that and support it. And I had a vision of this beautiful big kitchen, farmhouse kitchen, big, huge table, people coming and going, some people sitting, chatting, some people chopping and slicing, some people eating, whatever it might be. And it was beautiful energy. And I saw that. So I had to find land. And my niece put me on to a website called Diggers and Dreamers. And I don't know if any of you know this, but I would recommend, again, you actually log on to them. And I saw this woman advertising a house. She was advertising a room in a house. Now, it was no ordinary house. It was a 14th century medieval farmhouse, which looked stunning. And not only that, but it was also within 15 acres of land. So she showed a photograph of this amazing, beautiful old farmhouse. And I thought, I've got to contact this lady. She's got land and this amazing, beautiful farmhouse. So I connected with her. She showed me around the beautiful property. She said, well, there's too much land for me to take you around there. But then she said at the end, are you going to take the room? And I said, well, can I come and talk to you? And I said, I'm actually coming from Somerset, so can I stay overnight? So she agreed. And I went to talk to her. And I saw the beautiful, and the minute I walked through, I have to say, I arrived at night time, and it was an incredible journey. It was about 4 hours from Somerset, and you drive through farmland to get to her farm land. It's in the middle of, you're like surrounded by land. It's beautiful. And not only that, but you're surrounded by woodland, you're surrounded by all the nature. You've got muntjacs, you've got roe deer, you've got foxes, you've got an abundance of birds, and you've got all the other wildlife there that pops its head up every now and again. And you've got a couple of beautiful lakes as well, little ponds, I should say, not really lakes. And it's just, it's magic. It used to be a herb farm years ago. And so I drove up. It was full moon, and I found it, and I thought, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And I walked in, flagstone. I saw the kitchen, which I had dreamed about. I thought, this is it. This is my vision. This is what I've been focusing on. And so anyway, we talked. I stayed, and that was November last year, and I actually went every month for 2 to 3 days. I would go up there to connect with them, see what was happening. She had only bought that property the previous June. So we basically were aligned, definitely, in our values and our ethics and beliefs. And she agreed. And even at that time, I thought, well, if she doesn't suddenly says, oh, hang on, no, that's crazy. No, I'm not doing this. I thought, I'll find somewhere else. It'll be okay. It will be fine. So we walked around her beautiful land, and this beautiful glade, and there's a little woodland there as well, and then open fields, and a lot of brambles, a lot of it was overgrown, totally overgrown. And little by little, things are being exposed and re-nurtured. And we went to one field, and she said, right, it's going to be here. So it's in this beautiful southwest facing field, which looks upon fields. And so this is it. I've actually got the tiny house there. It's there. It went there in June the 11th. It actually found its way there. It was quite a challenging day. But I'm also having, what I would like to plug is a masterclass, which on the 27th of September, I'm actually holding a masterclass on Eventbrite, and it's called Let's Talk Freedom. And so I will talk a little bit more about it then. So, but what you need to know is that this is a project, and it's a way of life. I'm not just hiding away in Suffolk in a little house in a field. It's going to be where people can come and they can regroup, reconnect with themselves. And nature is so healing. And this lady, the farm is called Sawyer's Farm. However, she has renamed it Rising Hope, which is very special. So this is what's going to be happening, and I'm going to be promoting tiny houses. This tiny house is totally off grid. So I have my own gas cylinders, I have my own solar panel, 7 kilowatts worth. I have an inverter which collates the energy, and batteries. I don't know all the different jargons and technical bit, but it's all there, it's saved. I got my own guttering, and I get my own water butt, and I've got my compost toilet, and we're working out different methodology of compost toilets and what happens when you use them and where it goes and everything. But the gem of it all as well, the icing on the cake, was that I was actually looking at getting a huge water container on wheels, and the guy who made it, he sort of said, well, you know, I can get these for you. I've got some, you know, that I get from the council. Because I thought, where do I get my water from? And then one day Sarah said, well, actually, we have got, because she's got her own well, she's got her own borehole. She said, actually, over that hedge, just behind where your tiny house is going to be, she said, you have access to water. So it was like, oh my God, I don't believe this. Thank you, thank you. It's incredible. It was just all there. And I had to have a hardcore set up. And the guy who looks after her house and looked after an older house she had in Cambridge, I said, well, can you recommend anyone? Oh, Richard can do that for you. So it was like there were people there all the time, everything, and it just flowed. And so it's the beginning of a very exciting journey. And I want to use all my skills, and I want to also invite other practitioners, therapists to actually share workshops with me at this beautiful place. So, and it can be on Zoom also as well. There's no reason why it can't be, but also even better, it will be actually on site. So I don't know if you've got any questions, and I'm sure I've gone over the 7 minutes. But if anybody has any questions, I'd love to respond.